video today. We are just going to be going over some of the parts of your research proposal assignment, which I have provided materials for on this Google form today. You don't have a lot to do with this Google form other than brainstorming some topics. However, I would like you to review the student model that I have attached. I would like you to review the assignment sheet. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So here we go. The research proposal is a large argumentative research paper that you're going to have to do research using academic sources, and it's going to be something that is a process. So first, you would open the assignment description by clicking on this link. Once you have done so, hit opened. I put I refuse as a joke, but please don't click that because it will literally give you a 0 because the correct answer is opened. So if we look at this assignment sheet and it pops up in this other window, you should see a paper that looks like so. This is your assignment sheet for the research proposal. So at times it seems our world is filled with problems. These issues range from ones here at home in Anderson County to global catastrophes. As good citizens, we can create positive changes if we work together to do so. This assignment is about selecting an issue you care about, making a claim about why this issue is a problem, and developing a plan of action to begin solving that problem. So what is a proposal? Well, a proposal is a problem and solution oriented argument. And proposals are something that are used in many different professions in the real world. So this is not just an academic skill, this is a real world skill. From construction workers to lawyers, proposals are something that you will find in those professions, especially as you advance in levels throughout your career. So this writing process is going to have these 6 steps over here on this blue post-it note. Today you're going to be completing step 1, the brainstorm and selecting your topic. If you scroll down slightly, you will see that these are the learning targets that we will be focused on this unit. So you're going to be selecting relevant and reliable sources. You're going to be writing an argumentative essay. You're going to be using evidence to support your claim, refuting a counterclaim. And don't worry if you don't know what some of these words mean, because you're going to learn. And that's exactly why I have included this list of learning targets for you. On our green post-it, it lets you know that this assignment's final draft is worth 200 test points. So that's a big chunk of your first 9 weeks grade. Also, each of these other steps in the writing process listed over here are worth somewhere between 25 and 50 points. The assignment you're going to do today for this is worth 25 points, and that's just to brainstorm and select a topic. And then finally, if you click on this pink sticker here, it pops up with the assignment rubric. So if you would like to know the specifics of how those 200 points are allocated, click here and it will let you know. All right, moving on, let's go back to our Google form. So once you have opened that and you have hit next, it takes you to the second section of this assignment. And I'm making the video right now that you're going to actually see in this section here in a moment. But if you scroll down, it gives you this link right here to open a sample student research proposal. So this is from an actual student who wrote this for me in 2018 as a junior. So we're going to take a quick look at that, and that's the primary reason why I made this video. So I already have it open in another tab. Here we go. What you should notice first thing when you open up this paper is that it has a nice title, Suicide, the Silent Killer. Why is this a good title? Well, because it lets us know what this paper is going to be about, and it clues us into what the author's position on that topic is, that suicide is the biggest, most preventable cause of death. So in this first paragraph, she starts out with a story hook. And that story hook lasts for about 3 sentences, 3 to 4 sentences you have. But it gets your attention. It's emotional, it's guttural, and on top of it, this was part of her personal experience. Now, then she transitions into this story, connects it to what she's going to talk about in her paper. So At the end of her introduction, you see that it says, as suicide rates increase, those in need are hesitant to seek help, and worst of all, the help isn't readily available for those brave enough to look for it. So that's 3 reasons why she thinks that suicide, the silent killer, is a huge issue in our society. So, number 1, rates are on the rise for everybody. 2, people don't seek help because there's a stigma. And 3, that help, even when they do want it, isn't always there for them. Now, she labels this next section the issue, which is where she's going to talk about those 3 reasons why this issue is such an issue. So, she puts these in the same order that she put them in her thesis. She puts these in the same order that she put them in her thesis or claim. So this first body paragraph is all about the suicide rates being on the rise. So if you look at this second sentence, she has this little thing in parentheses, which is the last name of a source. So she doesn't just say suicide rates are increasing in everyone, and that's her personal opinion, and she just leaves it at that. She actually found research to support her claim that suicide rates are increasing. So she details that a little bit further, the same source down here, giving us some statistics and facts to let us know that this really is a problem because it is more widespread, and on top of that, it's actually getting worse instead of better. Now, in her next body paragraph, she talks about how people fail to reach out for help, and that's because of the way that other people stigmatize and treat mental health disorders. So she uses some of her personal experience with this in this paragraph, which personal experience is really good if you're trying to make an emotional argument. But the reason it's okay for her to use personal experience here is because she's already given us some factual, detailed information about suicide rate increases. And then to back up the fact that there is a stigma, she's talking about how she herself has faced that stigma from her own parents. Now, in the next paragraph, her third body paragraph, she's talking about how mental health care in our country is difficult to access, and she specifically focuses on how much money it costs. So people who don't have insurance have to pay cash out of pocket, and people who do have insurance, often mental health services are not covered under their insurance, so they too have to pay out of pocket. And that means that there are some people who don't get help just simply because they can't afford to. And that's what she focuses on in this particular paragraph. Now, she talks about the solution here, and it's very general, but also remember that she picked a really hefty topic. And this solution, while not perfect, it is a solution that addresses how we together as a society can combat this problem. So she talks about how spreading awareness is the number one most important thing to do, spread awareness of mental health issues and decrease that stigma. But then she also talks about how if you yourself struggle with mental health issues, try to be courageous and seek out the help that you need. Now, she has a plan of action here for how to achieve that solution. So she talks about lowering therapy prices, having insurance pay for therapy, having public speakers in school, educate students about the issue, and normalization is the biggest thing that she is asking for people to do. So she uses another quote to finish, just to really hit home what's going on. Now, my one criticism of this particular student sample is that she doesn't really talk about counterclaim as well as she should have. And what that means is she doesn't address how people on the other side, so people who don't think that suicide and mental health issues are a big deal, because there are people out there who don't think that. And that sounds crazy to some of us, but there are people out there who still believe that mental health is not a serious thing and that it's all made up. So perhaps if she had addressed that in this paper, it would have earned her a 100% instead of the lower A that she did end up getting. So I want you, as we are going through this assignment, we're going to be referring to this student sample, but I just want you to see what a good grade looks like for this assignment so you know what to expect. All right, last thing, once you have looked at the student sample and watched the video, it will take you to the assignment for topic brainstorming. So what I want you to do is to come up with at least 3 topics for each category that are different from the ones that I've already provided as an example. You're going to brainstorm a list of issues, then you're going to submit to me the top 3 you came up with that you would actually be interested in writing about. So try to pick something. If you're like, well, I'm not interested in anything, well, then pick something that you are just totally oblivious to. You know nothing about the issue if you really and truly can't think of anything that you're passionate about or interested in. So you have category 1, problems with politics and government. Here's your example. And I have underneath each example an explanation for why that would be a good example of an issue in society. So what's not a good example of an issue in society with politics and government? Just saying something like voting. That's not specific enough. If you just say voting, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean there's a problem with voting? Do you mean voter fraud? Do you mean the legal voting age? Do you mean the fact that very few young people vote and mostly old people do? So you can't just say some blanket statement that could be interpreted many different ways. You need to pick something that you think is a specific issue. Start out by thinking of things that exist within these categories that you disagree with, because it's typically easier to do that than to think of things that you do agree with. What about that? I had a student write and educate me all about an invasive species of Asian carp clogging up Kentucky waterways. So you can make it as local or as global as you want it to be. It can be a problem here in Anderson County. It can be a problem here at this school. It can be a problem in Kentucky, in the United States, in North America, in the Western Hemisphere. It can be a problem that is a global issue as well. It's up to you to decide the scope of what you want to research and talk about in your paper. It does, however, need to be specific enough that you could actually argue it and it be less than 5 pages long. So once you have brainstormed all of your topics, and you would type them all here, make sure that there are 3 in each of these categories, then I would like you to go back up here, look through the ones you brainstormed, come to the bottom down here, type in what's your first choice. So of the topics that you came up with today, which one would you most likely want to research and write about? Type it there, and then tell me why that's your first choice. Then give me your second choice and tell me why that's your second choice. Then give me your third choice and tell me why it's your third choice. Here's why I want you to tell me 3 options and your reasons for choosing it. There are certain topics for this type of assignment that don't work very well. So I want to make sure that you are selecting a topic that you can find facts and evidence to support your opinion, and that it's not going to be a moral argument, because moral arguments are practically impossible to prove because morality is subjective. So try not to choose a moral issue. Try to choose some type of structural issue. Make sure you fill out all 3 of these. They are required. You get points just for filling this out today. So without further ado, I'm signing off. Please, 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 please make sure that you are focusing on topics that you have an interest in or that you are clueless about. Don't try to write about something that you absolutely find boring, because you're not going to do a good job. The best papers that I've ever received on this assignment are from students who are passionate about the topics that they select. And that student sample that we reviewed today, very passionate student about that particular topic.